I'm just gonna go watch a movie.
Welcome to Film Slice, a judgment-free zone. Oni Pepperoni here, and after watching all my blind buys from the Vinegar Syndrome mid-year sale, the next logical step was to rank them all for more content. Let's start.
A discussion about, though, horror films, perhaps?
No, about what has the potential of becoming a horror film unless we do something about it quickly. There is something out there. Don't listen to me, though. Go right ahead.
There's nothing out there.
Number 16. There's nothing out there. A cabin get-together goes awry in a very meta way, and a knowledgeable horror buff finally gets a chance to shoot their shot. Notable for coming out years before the meta darling Scream, my original prediction was that I love that meta horror shit.
This is one of my favorite stories when I was your age. So what'd you think of it?
This just wasn't for me. This shit was not it. Like, I saw the potential in this movie, and I can see why it has its fans. Very ahead of its time. Probably, maybe inspired Scream.
Yes, that's it. You've seen some of these too.
The meta humor and snark that was promised and predicted was there, but it was caked in like a inch-thick layer of 90s high school bully humor, which didn't really work for me. Looking back, I can appreciate the film a little bit more. Number 15. Star Time. The cancellation of a TV show sends an unstable fan down a path of murder. So my original thoughts and predictions was that this was going to be like weird outsider art, reminiscent of the Driller Killer, maybe Sledgehammer. Okay, so Sledgehammer, no. The only commonality is mask. Weird, yes. Definitely took a shower after, but not totally related to the film. The movie, it was very dreamy and surreal. Definitely a recommendation for David Lynch fans. Yeah, it does have its highlights. I particularly liked the free jazz opening credits. That was a very cool way to set the tone. And the extra little bit the director gives us near the end when you usually think a story would be finished. Between all of those like highlights and moments, you could definitely feel the effort watching it. So it didn't totally work, but I appreciate all of the artistry, even if it only worked like part of the time.
It's really important, okay? Okay, just... All right.
Was a program of heavy drug testing. We provided him with an assortment of psychotropic and psychocolic compounds, which he was encouraged to take at his leisure. LSD, DMT, and LSE were administered to him at regular intervals.
Number 14. Taking Tiger Mountain. Set in a semi-charmed kind of dystopia, a World War III draft dodger undergoes an experiment by radical feminists and is brainwashed into carrying out an assassination. All right, so if Star Time was creatively experimental by way of like some Lynchian tendencies, then this was fucking performance art. Originally, I remember I said that I wanted, like, this was the film off of a quote-unquote weird shit recommendation list, so I just blind bought it on this, and yeah, it rightfully belongs on that list, for better or worse. I mean, right now I feel like it's one of those movies you experience rather than watch, because by the time it was like maybe a third of the way through, I was already like mentally exhausted from everything, so admittedly, all of the potential commentary on gender, sexuality, fluidity, dystopian societal interpretation bullshit just all flew over my head. I am gonna watch it again because there's a director's commentary on the Blu-ray and a newly edited version, like new.
Like the Big Dipper. Go out to dinner, I'm a big tipper. I never ever wear the blue fondue. If it's halfway week, I'm just passing through.
Number 13, Night Owl. A vampire in East Village, NYC. sporting a leather jacket, wanders the night seducing victims. The brother of one of these victims starts to look for them. Original thoughts? The lead is definitely not played by John Leguizamo. He is the brother who is trying to seek out the titular night owl. Okay, so this one, there was like a certain grittiness and look and feel to the film, which was like really cool. This was also combined with like the music scene of the East Village in NYC. Usually in vampire flicks, you have like rock, metal, or like classical music. This one gets its music influence from like techno and acid house that was coming from like other places like Chicago and Detroit. So to see like those types of performances just captured in a more realistic, like cinema verite way was a real nice surprise to see, in spite of all of the other stuff going on in the movie with like the vampires and stuff, which is okay. It's all right, but honestly, like the music, techno stuff like really stood out for me, and I'm glad I watched it, if not just for that. Number 12, Savage Harbor. Two merchant marines help someone escape the grip of the mob and heroin addiction. My original thoughts, this was going to be like an 80s action gem, not unlike Miami Connection. Gem is a subjective term, but it is very much so in the spirit of a movie like Miami Connection. However, this strain of so bad it's good filmmaking excels not in, say, the action, stunts, or bogus plot twists or plot points you might see in other B-movies. It excels in quirks that come out of nowhere, like the film's hyperfixation on avocados.
Do you like avocados?
What?
Just a thought.
All in all, it's solid, if not a little slow at time. It is an interesting movie because it excels in its own idiosyncrasies. It's a good plan B Saturday afternoon like flick that you might watch when you're hungover.
You came after all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude or anything.
Number 11, Unmasked, Part 25. Serial killer named Not Jason finds love with a blind woman. Byronic tendencies rise, and Not Jason must deal with their own innate nature of killing things, wrestle with the possibility of being involved with someone romantically and not killing them. So my initial thoughts and predictions, I thought this was gonna be like a good, funny meta romp, and for the most part, I was right. Feels good. So this is my preferred pick of the meta comedies between Something Out There and this. I will say that humor is subjective, so this one was very British, but for me, it worked. It elicited some audible laughs, which surprised me.
I suppose the first time you do it is always a bit of a letdown. The first time for me was with one of those camp counselors. She was dead.
I suppose we're all a dead lay now and again.
On top of that, for this horror comedy, the gore gags, the gore effects were pretty good too.
Why are you filming nothing?
Look, first of all, this isn't film, it's videotape, all right? Second of all, I'm an artist. I don't have to explain to you or anybody else in the world what I'm doing. Art.
Number 10, Pale Blood. Bodies drained of blood pop up in the city. People think a vampire's gone crazy and started murdering. A real vampire who did not do these killings investigates to see what is really happening. Very moody and evocative, atmospheric. This is for people who like, this is more like a slow burn type of film. I guess as slow burn as you can get with someone like Wings Hauser in the cast.
I'm an artist.
Seems like it could be more music video than film at points.
Richard Zahn, do you feel you are worthy of being heard for your fraternity? Sir! Yes, sir!
Number 9. Pledge Night. A group of fraternity pledges endure hazing during Hell Week. However, it seems as though someone is trying to haze their lives to death. Okay, so my original thoughts were that this one was going to be kind of safe and entertaining. So it was entertaining and it did start out safe. However, it did take some sharp turns later down the line, which really surprised me, and I really thought that was cool. And the Anthrax soundtrack is pretty nice. Keeps the whole vibe of the movie fresh, energetic. I'll just say that it was definitely weirder than I thought it was going to be, in a good way.
I imagine you've had some pretty wild, offbeat adventures. Hmm? Oh, perhaps, for example, you've taken the famous Rorschach test?
Yes.
Ah. What precisely does that image suggest to you?
Number 8. The Telephone Book. A young woman receives the world's most obscene phone call, and she becomes obsessed with finding the caller. This leads her on a series of wacky misadventures, all kind of sexual, hence the X rating. Very funny, very humorous. I was not expecting this film to be as funny, feel good, and charming as I thought it'd be. But there you go. Like I said, it's X-rated. It's a sexploitation flick, nothing hardcore. So while you do get to see all the good parts, no penne.
State of Maryland.
Well, there's some guy on the dance floor offering cocaine to all the chicks. Why don't you ask him?
Number 7. Liquid Sky. Like taking Tiger Mountain, Liquid Sky is a movie that you will most likely experience rather than watch the first time around. It's super artsy, and understandably some will hate this. Sometimes even I think it's super artsy to a fault. I did mention performance art when talking about taking Tiger Mountain, but this fucking movie actually has it in there along with some interpretive dance on a bevy of other things. Despite this was a really great movie. All of the imagery and the costume, the set design, like the garish colors, how everything just pops out, and it has its own, like the movie has its own unique kind of style. Liquid Sky is unique in the same way that Suspiria is. Like, they're both genre flicks, but there is no other Suspiria. And like that, there is no other Liquid Sky. I would recommend at least checking this out. I'm not gonna guarantee that you'll like it, but it is so eccentric in its own existence that just watching it for the sake of its novelty would also be worth it.
What do you two women find to do, stuck in a place like this?
As you can see, nothing.
Ruth designs. I ride and sunbathe. For amusement, we spy on each other. Don't we, Ruth?
Stop it, Chris.
Number 6. The corruption of Chris Miller. An enigmatic drifter seeks shelter near a secluded manor property. He soon inserts himself between the bickering stepmother and daughter. Soon jealous feelings arise, and also rising is the body count in the nearby town. My thoughts on this? Kind of middling, I think, and then I was like, and maybe this one's good. Oh, maybe this one's good. It's great. I really liked it. So whenever I think of this film, I think of just the sensual atmosphere pervading throughout the movie, because it's kind of just these three very attractive people coexisting in a house with nothing to do but gawk at each other while they do activities like chopping wood, riding a horse in slow motion, whatever. They're all nice. So as the audience, you can feel the push and pull of the attractions between all of the cast. And I thought that was just really well done. When you combine it with other creative choices the director made, like the lush soundtrack, the location, it all just comes together in a really solid giallo. Kind of reminds me of a giallo like Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, Red Queen Kills 7 Times, Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. All of those secluded mansion, gothy vibe giallos. This would fall perfectly in that group. Very good entry. Very cool.
Mr. Swope, I'm tired of doing commercials. I want to do something more creative.
Pick up your severance pay.
Why?
Did I ask you why when you said you wanted to do something more creative?
Nope.
Number 5, Putney Swope. An emergency vacancy in the CEO spot needs to be filled. A surprise vote leads to unexpected consequences when the unexpectedly black Putney Swope is elected. As the business increases in success, the US government gets worried about it. Very funny, very modern. This film aged really well. I can only imagine how this was received back in 1969. Very much ahead of its time. So what I liked about it, the comedy is very biting. There's a very cynical tone.
I feel like an Oreo cookie. You look like a pile of shit.
Interspersed between all of the goings of Putney's company, we see commercials for the products that they are selling. They're fake commercials, but they're super funny. And I definitely see all of the parallels that were brought up when Sorry to Bother You came out. They are very much of the same ilk. So if you like one, I highly recommend you watch the other.
Maybe you did have a flat tire.
Maybe nothing. He didn't think we'd kill her. Period.
Then we gotta find a way to show him we mean business.
Exactly.
The Candy Snatchers, 1973. A teenage girl is kidnapped and held for ransom. Instead of paying the ransom, the girl's father is considering not. Man, this one was a great exploitation flick. Every character in here is in it doing something for their own selfish reasons. So most of the characters in this movie are amoral. Some are downright vile. It's an interesting exploration, juggling all those egos together, especially within the small group that does the snatching of the candy, so to speak. Just how all of their bickering just makes everything worse for everyone. It's an old movie, but it goes places I did not expect. I wouldn't say it managed to shock me, but I was surprised. The whole movie has a misanthropic feel, so it's definitely not feel good, but it is very much so the exploitation movie you're thinking of in your head when someone tosses the word grindhouse out. It's that type of movie you're thinking of.
In the Newberry, Nora. Poor little girl just lost her life out there in the park. Can I give you a lift?
No, thanks.
Sure is a shame. Ain't enough live ones to go around.
Number 3, Grave Robbers. A young diner waitress is swept off her feet by a mysterious stranger. Now married, she discovers her husband is an undertaker and might be into some weird shit. My first viewing of this film was under the guise of, is this the sleaziest non-porn title in Vinegar Syndrome's catalog? Watching it, I thought it was alright. Didn't think it was too funny, and I actually thought it was kind of tame. Like, I wasn't really surprised with it or anything, so I just forgot it up until I had the idea of doing this video and watched it again. It hit differently the second time. Something clicked, and I'll say that while it's not the sleaziest non-porn title in their catalog, I completely understand why someone would say that now. Tonally, the movie...
This is taking an eternity.
Tonally, the movie is everywhere. It juggles this weird comedic tone that kind of sounds like slightly inappropriate jokes your drunk uncle might tell you at a family gathering. So it's kind of PG-13, but then underneath all of that is this current of non-stop necrophilia vibes that just taints everything many shades darker. So that like interplay of wholesome plus taboo slash campy and cheesy slash fucking dark as shit, it's very off-kilter and definitely won't be for everybody. I would recommend this to those looking for a different type of horror comedy. It's a horror comedy for fans of Todd Solondz.
Hey, babe. I've been waiting for this all day. Come on, bring it on. Come on into Papa.
Don't let them knockers hypnotize you, boy.
Number 2, Blood Games. A girls versus guy baseball game gets heated, and the guys lose despite their use of advanced tactics. The girls celebrate, the guys commiserate, but they just can't let the loss go. Losing and boozing leads to cruising and bruising.
Asshole!
Now that the stakes are real, can the girls survive? Like the Candy Snatchers, this flick also gets intense, even though it kind of looks like a sports romp sex comedy. Like, it's kind of even advertised that way in some of the promotional art, which is hilarious. Once you get into the movie, you'll realize this is not a happy-go-lucky, hunky-dory game. Things get real. Very surprised by this one. While it doesn't get as ugly or vile as the Candy Snatchers, there are some rough parts here, but
You're fucking with the devil now, boy.
I didn't feel like it was exploitative. This is another one of the more traditional style of films in the Vinegar Syndrome catalog. Great recommendation for someone new to the brand.
Yeah.
You still shoot first and ask questions later.
Fuck you, Rourke. They had shotguns.
Be nice, I could bust you on 2 counts of manslaughter.
Self-defense and you know it. Don't pull this bullshit on me, Rourke. It was a clean shoot and you got no case. I was protecting my boss's property. I was doing my job. That's what I used to do for the city. Protect and serve, remember?
Number 1, LA Wars. An ex-cop is asked to go back undercover in order to prevent a drug war from erupting in LA. Tensions rise with his old boss, who demands that they do everything by the book. But can you argue with the results? My original thought was that this looks like some dumb 90s action macho shit. Always hits the spot. This was going to be some dumb macho shit. I had no idea how right I was. This is like the platonic ideal of dumb macho shit.
Carlo Giovanni will pay for this with blood.
Everyone cast in this movie is like playing a version of the role of like a hot-headed cop. So in between the action scenes when nothing's happening, everyone's still just like on edge and ready to explode.
That's always been your problem, Gwen.
Fuck you. If you don't like it my way, then what the hell are you trying to get me next to Giovanni for, huh?
And I think that energy carried over to the other people on set.
I don't want him to last at all. Do you understand me?
Which was very fun to see.
I'm gonna cut off your fucking head and I'm gonna shit in your neck.
It's clear that the focus in this film was on the action, using and milking every possible cent from the budget to deliver action. LA Wars is just so over the top. Starts out a little slow, but once it gets rising, the film is a exponential curve of intensity. Didn't think LA Wars was gonna be #1, but here we are.
I see who I want, when I want. And right now, I want to see you.
All right, that was the list. Hope you enjoyed it. What do you think? What are some titles you would place on the top? What are some titles you would place on the bottom? What are some titles you would just straight up destroy? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This has been Oni Pepperoni from Pizza Party Art. Peace.